So, being a business analyst, most of my work was stakeholder management and requirement gathering. So, it was a very mentally exhausting job. So, being a morning person, I used to wake up around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I used to practice VARC and DILR then and there itself. I used to practice it for 2 to 3 hours, and then I used to get ready for my work. I used to come back to my house in the evening, and then I used to practice around 40 questions daily for quant. And I used to make sure these were different difficulty level questions so as to replicate what happens in the test. And then I used to also make sure that I get good sleep.
I was working as a senior analyst in e-clerks in the investment banking domain. So this was my second attempt, and I was almost done with my first attempt, and 60% of the syllabus was already covered. So what I did, I used to have weekly targets instead of daily targets. I used to have 6 hours to 7 hours of weekly target that I need to deliver this much of hours to the whole section, and then dividing it into the particular sections. So that was my plan.
Okay, so although I have never worked and I'm a fresher, but my advice to the people who are working and simultaneously preparing for CAT should be to manage their time and the 24 hours in their day effectively. Like they should divide their day into several parts, like Raj did. In the morning, he did VARC and DLR, which were not his strongest suits because he was fresh in the morning. And after coming from work when he was tired and not on his extreme complete mental bandwidth, he used to do quants. So I think every CAT aspirant should focus on time management and consistency. Everyone should do at least 20-30 questions of quants every day to be refreshed with the concepts, and also attempt VRC and DLR sets every day too.
Right. I agree to you completely.
I decided to take CAT to get into IIM for the IIM dream. But what actually fueled my motivation was to prove myself, was to be the best version of myself. During my undergraduate admissions, I wanted to get into one of the top colleges of the University of Delhi. But that could not happen because my marks were not at par with the requirements of the university. So I thought that taking CAT and getting into an IIM would be a chance for me to redeem myself from that guilt of not getting into a top Delhi University college.
No, it's the same for me. It's the IIM dream actually. And I wanted to spend the last 2 years of my education in a premium institute. And IIM Nagpur is definitely one of them. And also, secondary motivation was that I wanted to pivot towards a sales and marketing role. And I think MBA presents a good opportunity to actually change roles in your job.
So I think for every CAT aspirant, living the IIM dream is one of the motivating factors. Apart from that, specific to me, it was getting into the front office role of investment banking. I had worked in the back office of investment banking, so I wanted to get an MBA degree to pivot my role and move towards front office role. So my one piece of advice to all the CAT aspirants out there is to relax a little bit, because there is chaos and confusion in the very initial phase of your preparation. When you are in the initial phase of your preparation, you'll feel like your inputs are not generating any proportionate output, and there is no sense of direction that you and there is no light at the end of the tunnel. But you have to keep at it, and once you keep on preparing and you are continuously at it, you eventually it will become things will get easier than what it felt at the very beginning.
So, one advice which I would like to give to students preparing right now is uh, it's a very common advice that give a lot of mocks, but I think there's some refinement in this approach which is needed. I used to give a lot of sectional mocks. I used to specifically give sectional mocks of VARC and DILR because they were not my strongest suits. And what is the advantage of this method? You don't waste 2 hours for the practice, right? And you also practice with time passing each time, like in each and every mock. So I think that was one of my advice.
Okay, so my advice to all the aspirants out there would be to relax and be calm during your preparation. I think when we are preparing for a competitive exam, we take that to be a whole life. We make that our whole life. But we should understand that a competitive exam is just a part of our life. We should always be calm during our preparation. We should not stop having fun. During my preparation too, I focused the whole week of my prep, but on the weekends I took time out and went out with my friends, hung out with my family, because those moments actually keep you sane. Those moments let you not go into the spiral of bad mocks or a spiral of bad thoughts.
So for my D-Day test strategy, for quant I used to follow the ABC approach. In the first 2 minutes of the test, I used to mark each and every quant question with A, B, and C. A being the easiest and C being the most difficult question. In order to pull this method off, you need to know each and every question type. You need to know what difficulty level it is and how much time it will take for you to attempt that question. For my VRC section, I used to attempt each and every question. I used to attempt the entire question, but like I used to distribute the time. Whatever the difficulty level of RCs, I'm going to give 12 minutes to VA part. And for DILR, I used to scan the paper in the first 4 minutes. I used to mark two easiest sets, and I used to attempt that.
So, my strategy on the D day would be about staying calm and keeping a check on your nerves. So, I have taken CAT twice, but what went wrong the first time was not the lack of my preparation, but my panic on the exam day. During the real life section, I focused on completing sets, but when that was not happening, I panicked, and that carried forward to my quant section too. I messed up DILR, and then due to that panic, I messed up quants too. So I think for all the aspirants out there, they should focus on keeping calm on the D day, because the adrenaline is so high that you focus on knowing what has happened for the other slots. I was in the slot 3 and I wanted to know what has happened for slot 1 and 2. I watched the review videos, I talked to my friends, but that did not help. That made things worse. That made me go with the preconceived notion that quants would be tough. So, quants was already not my strongest suit, and with the perception that I went with, I think I messed up more. So, being calm and composed and keeping a check on your nerves is as important as approaching any other strategy.
The strategy that worked out well for me on the D-Day was two cycles approach. In every section, I applied this approach in quant, DILR, and in VRC as well. So what I used to do is in the first cycle, I used to figure out which questions are easier for me to tackle, and I was solving those questions. And in the second cycle, I was tackling all the questions that were a bit difficult but still doable. In this way, I was filtering out all the questions that I could do with high accuracy and eliminating all the questions that might get wrong, or if I attempt, the accuracy might decrease. Apart from that, in VRC, you will find out of all the RCs, there could be some RCs which are very difficult, but take a look at the questions related to that RC, because there could be some questions which are easier to answer even though the whole RC is very difficult. In case of DILR, you have to figure out which particular set is suited for you, and you are able to solve them. So that was my strategy that worked out well for me.